No. Morning, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. And the next case, case 20 of the Gateless Gate. Yes.
On Zoom.
Oh, okay.
It creates a disruption on turn dialogue.
Okay. It should.
It will.
It will?
Yes,
Okay.
there's no way. Sorry.
All right.
I also have the same problem.
Even with the earplugs?
Earplugs might help.
Maybe because mine also have a microphone, so maybe yours will work.
We'll try it. If it works, then yes. If not, then we'll see what works. Okay.
I'm having to.
I understand. Is it? Can you hear me now? Can,
It only took 75 years. It only took 75 years.
okay.
A case in point.
Comedian, really.
Okay, case 20, main case. Master Shogun said, "Why is it that a man of great strength does not lift up his leg?" He also said, "It is not with the tongue that we speak." Mumon's commentary. It should be said that Shogun poured out all that he had in his intestines and belly, and there is nobody who can recognize this. However, even someone who realized this immediately would be given a bitter blow by me. Why? Look, if you want to know whether it is pure gold or not, you must look at it in the midst of fire. The verse. Raising a leg, I upturn the scented ocean. Lowering my head, I look down on the four dhyana heavens. There is no place to put this whole body. Please finish this poem in your own words. Okay. I think your face says it all. It's like, what the hell? So I promised this would be a fun koan, and it is, because it's much simpler than, these koans are always much simpler than we think they are. But let's kind of work this backward a little bit. Well, actually, the last line of Mumon's commentary kind of gives it away. And it's really about pure gold or not. You must look at it in the midst of fire. So when we are in situations that are urgent, immediate, or when we are in the zone, we're completely you've hit that endorphin. You're running your marathon and you hit that endorphin rush, and you're just very present in what you're doing. See a nod head. That running. I don't run. I do short runs, but I've never done. Well, I haven't in years because my knees no longer tolerate all that. But when I would do my 3 miles in the morning, it took about a mile before it felt good. And the endorphin hits you, and it's like, oh yeah, this is why I do this. And you just go. Same thing happens. You're in the same state, that same mental state when an emergency happens. You see the fire, 2 houses away. You got to get out. You see a child run out into the street. You take whatever action is necessary. There's zero thought that gets in the way of that. So it takes, and people in those situations, the adrenaline hits immediately, and they're able to do these amazing things, lift cars off of people, and do these very heroic things without even thinking about it. That's what this is about. There's no thought in you having to lift your leg. It doesn't come from conscious thought. There's, after even as a baby, there's no thought that goes into the sounds that they make. They're just blah, 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 blah. They're just making sounds, and after a while they start to imitate your sounds, and it becomes speech, miraculously enough. And we're not consciously thinking when we're, just having everyday conversations. These are things that happen before thought. So it's not strength or thought or imagination or mindfulness that allows you to lift your leg. So mindfulness is not that mindfulness is not important, it is, but it's only one part. The most important part, the part that happens before all of that thought, is just your instinctual self, that mammalian part of the brain that is constantly in operation and is constantly perpetuating you forward and moving you, and you're doing these things. You don't have to think about it. We have these amazing bodies that are constantly multitasking. I mean, inside we've got stuff going on that we don't even know what's going on. Your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, the food is being digested. All that stuff is happening, and all of this is propelling you forward in your life. So this is what happens naturally. You don't have to be a great person of strength or a great enlightened person for that to happen. But why, then, are we looking at this Koan? This is just a natural state. We get up, we walk. We open our mouths and talk. We eat food. It digests. None of this is unusual. So why this Koan? What's so important about this? It's not a rhetorical question.
Always fire.
What?
We're always on fire.
We are, in some sense. We are always on fire. We generate heat. But what's the pure gold that we get from the fire? What is this essence? What is our being all about? Why do we sit in this very uncomfortable position? At least on Saturday mornings when we see each other. I don't know what you do the rest of the time, but you come here and you sit. It hurts. Why do this? No one has a reason for doing this.
I think it's
I think the practice has given us great strength. We come with great strength by doing this practice. It's how we look at our lives, and that reminds us. It's the goal. It's the ability to function well in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good answer. We sit to become aware, because we know when we're running around and doing stuff, it's not possible to be aware because we're busy, and we're constantly busy and constantly distracted all the time. But when we come back and we shut up, we sit down, and we breathe, and we're just present in our lives, this is where great awareness, great strength, great potential, if you will, happens. This is where the fire happens. This is the fire that is on your head. This is the urgency of Zazen. This inaction is a call to action. It is a call to your attention, to pay attention, to really the amazing treasure that each of us is. We have the ability to do some amazing things, and we spend a fair amount of time not doing those amazing things, but we still have that potential. And this brings us back to our natural state. Our natural state is this state of enlightenment. Not something we have to get, not something that comes from outside, not something that we have to work on. Already there. Already you. Already available for you to use. And that's what this does. That's the man of great strength, the person of great strength, the person of great awareness. He or she does not have to work at or worry about lifting his leg or speaking with his tongue. The expedient means the ability to interact from this space of enlightenment is your natural equanimous state. You just have to get out of the unnatural state that we're in most of the time, which is, for me this week, it was, dealing with courts and attorneys. And, not that I don't love attorneys, Mark, but because, they're constantly, when I was working at Kaiser, they kept me out of trouble all the time. So they're important. However, they're a whole different level of distraction that I had to deal with.
So I spent my week dealing with HR people.
Those people. Oh. Yeah. They'll be replaced by AI at some point. They'll just press a button.
Well, when I first read this Koan, I thought, well, thinking about yoga, there's mountain pose, which has you standing on two legs with your arms extended, just being very rooted in the earth on two legs, and that's your position of strength. But when you lift up one leg, of course, that all falls apart. And although some people are good at standing on one leg, for me, I can't. It's like I lose all my whatever I had going as soon as I lift up my leg. It's gone. So that's.
So you lifting up a leg causes an earthquake.
Only when I fall.
Yeah. So mountain pose, I think that's a good example. We are all rooted on this earth. We are this earth. We came from this earth. We're all the elements that make up who we are and what we are what everything else on the earth is made up of. So we are not separate from it. There's nothing out there that isn't in us in some way. So yes, we are the mountains. We are the mountains walking or standing. We are these this non-separate part of the earth. And since the earth is made up of what's in the rest of the universe, the entire universe. That's just a statement of fact. That's just a scientific fact. What are we doing with all that, though, which is why we look at this koan, is why we have a koan like this, is to pay attention to it. Pay attention to the fact that you really don't have to worry about lifting your leg, because your leg will lift by itself, your tongue will move by itself, your body operates itself. You are already in this state of completeness, just as you are. There's nothing more you need to do. You have everything you need. And you don't have to be any bigger, stronger, prettier, nothing else. You got it. It's all right here, right now, everything you need. Zen practice brings you into that every time you sit. The verse is amazing. Like, raising a leg, I upturn the scented ocean. The scented ocean is a reference to ancient Indian cosmology, because Mount Sumeru is the place where all existence is, including mostly enlightenment. So it's and the ascended ocean surrounds Mount Sumeru. So and that's the entire universe. So the Sumeru is the entire universe. The ascended ocean is what surrounds the entire universe. So you're upturning this huge cosmological thing, this sentient ocean. Lowering my head, I look down on the four dhyana heavens, that big that you can not just see one, but you can see all four layers of heaven. And probably, he didn't bother to say it, but you could say, and all 9 circles of hell, they're there too. There is no place to put this whole body because it already exists everywhere, at once, all the time. Please finish this poem in your own words. The original says, please add the next line. So there was and I think this still exists, but I can't remember what it's called. There's a form of poetry that poets will send poems to each other, and they add their section, and then eventually the poem comes back around in its complete form. So it has a name. Anybody? Waka. Okay, thank you. The Waka.
What is it?
Waka.
Waka?
Yeah, it's Japanese poetry form, but it started in China. And what?
That's intimidating.
Yeah. Well, the problem, people get caught in it. Oh my God, I got to write something really profound. But when you just let that go, you get really good stuff. I've done it in a circle exercise many years ago. That it's really powerful. So this was his invitation in this poem to the next. Add your own line. Add your own self to this poem. Put yourself in this poem. So yeah, you got everything you need. That's what this is about. That's all this is saying. There's nothing else that you really need. You don't have to work at getting something, because a man of great strength has obviously worked hard. So this is a Chinese koan, and I'm not sure what. So he died in 12. So this is he died in 1202. So he's 12th century. So he lived in mostly the 1100s through 1202, and Dogen was born in 1200. So there's some overlap, but I'm sure he didn't know Dogen when he was 2 years old. Because, well, first of all, he was in China and Dogen was in Japan at the time. Shogun was, his lineage eventually gave what's in his lineage is Dario, who was the founder of Daitokuji, which is like the second largest Rinzai temple in Japan. It's in Kyoto. It's in Kyoto, and my connection to Daitokuji, because I went to Daitokuji when I was there, but I was studying Japanese tea ceremony at WaYu Sensei, and Senno-rikyu, who's the founder of modern tea ceremony, was a priest at Daitokuji Temple, and his tea room is still there, which is also the same room in which Hideyoshi commanded him to commit suicide. That's a whole nother story. So, and no one knows why, but they've made up all kinds of stories about that. So, rather important temple, rather important lineage in the Rinzai sect. So this was one of the forefathers of that lineage, and he himself did not have any successors. So this koan contains 2 of the 3 lines that he tested his own monks with. So the first line is, why is it that a man of great strength does not lift his leg? The second line is, it is not with the tongue that we speak. And the third line is, why is it that the crimson lines of a clearly enlightened person never ceases to flow? So because none of his monks at the time could answer these questions or demonstrate these koans, he had no successors. So a few decades later, whomever the emperor was at the time sent the national priest to his temple and made him the successor of Shogun. So so there's that kind of that gap in the Rinzai line that happens, but that's just a little historical reference. So, which eventually led to it coming to Japan and the founding of Daitokuji Temple. So there's and there are gaps like that in the Soto line as well, but that's just what happened with this particular gap. So Shogun poured out all that he had, his intestines, into his belly, because these three lines, two of which are in the koan, one of which is not, were very important to him, very important for people to realize, for his monks to realize. And they didn't realize it. They weren't able to demonstrate it at that time. So here we are, 800. Wait, what's the math between 1200 and 2025? However many years that is.
25.
Yeah, 825 years. I think, yeah, that's right. 825 years later, studying his koan. So it had quite an impact at the time.
So the line, it is not with the tongue, at least 3 second for those.
Yeah.
Is that about when we speak through our actions, not through our verbiage?
No, it's about recognizing that speech, that we don't have to think about how to talk. That the ability to speak is before thought. The ability to raise your leg is before thought. So, so you don't, the tongue is just the end tool, if you will, of speech. It is not, the tongue does not create speech. The creation of speech happens before it gets to the tongue. The tongue enunciates speech. The ability to stand doesn't start with the leg. It starts before it gets to the leg. It starts before you even think about it. So this is all about our very instinctual levels. That these are not we're constantly focused on the end result. So we look at ourselves in the mirror and we think, okay, I need to go to the gym and do something about this. But going, making, like it's a New Year's resolution to do something, go on a diet, do some exercise, do all this stuff. How long does that last? And it's usually because, you can't do that for yourself from the outside in. You have to change yourself from the inside out. You have to create these new habits and new ways of being in order for the end result to be that you do what the healthiest thing is that you do, which is why people's New Year's resolutions last until January 25, and then they're like, oh, it's exhausting. Why am I doing this? Because they haven't, tapped into the root of it. Where do your habits start? And you really have to go deeper than just the superficial, because that will not sustain you. What will sustain you is knowing that you already, first of all, you have the ability to be anything you want to be. Number one, you have the ability to be healthy, and those choices are the end result of that choices is what you're seeing in the mirror. So if you're starting at the end, trying to fix that, you're starting at the wrong point of view. So start before thought. Start with what you naturally are, and see what the work needs to be done. What are the changes, and where do those changes need to be? So this is your root practice. Your root way of being, your natural way of being is in equanimity, in balance with nature, just as you are, just as it is. Your natural state is enlightened. You are already there. You already have that, not to be obtained or attained or obtained in any way. So But it takes not doing anything for at least a few minutes to recognize that. Some people get it immediately when they sit down and they're quiet. They have this profound experience when they sit. Some people, it takes a long time. But those profound experiences are also temporary. Coming back to this over and over and over again is what is required to live that on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis. It's the practice.
I know that when they say the hardest thing about going to the gym is getting there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, I know and same thing for coming Saturday mornings, even after all the time I've been, if I have to think about it, then I'm sense already lost.
Yeah.
So it's not until it becomes sort of an automatic thing where we don't feel in yoga we say you don't feel no way about it.
Yeah.
Don't feel no way about it, just get up and go.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's like with me. I never ask myself if I want to exercise because the answer is always no. If you don't like the answer, don't ask the question. Just do it because you know it's the right thing to do. So, and you're right. When I wake up in the morning, I just want to lay there. And certainly, my cat, who's usually laying on top of me, wants me to lay there too.
Is it fair to say that this reality is so full, there's no room for cause, plan, and intention, but that it allows for cause, plan, and intention in spite of the fact that if you were to be in your better state, you wouldn't be thinking cause, plan, and intention, because that's the way reality is. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it is the source of cause, plan, and intention.
Can be. So it's both. So there is always this absolute and this relative that are constantly married. They don't get up and move without each other. So yes, in this absolute sense, in this emptiness, no cause, plan, or intention in that. However, if you wish to get up and do anything, you have to engage in cause, plan, and intention, and it's both. So, and the two are not disturbed by each other. So we make plans, but or we set goals. The goals is probably a good example. But you don't accomplish if you have a goal that you want to get to a certain point by December 31 of 2025. You don't wait until December 31 to do anything about that. That goal exists in the present, and you start doing whatever it is you need to do to get to that end result. So yes, cause, plan, and intention do come into play, at any given point. And there's nothing. That's good. That's how we move.
So that's what the heart teacher is asking us to focus on momentarily, is getting out of the cause, plan, and intention, everything else that they enumerate, and eliminating that all.
Well,
I used to think the heart teacher was opposites, but it's really not. It's sweeping the whole scene clean.
It sweeps the whole scene clean, and you move as a whole. So you're not separating, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. You're not trying to create these categories in your mind and think them out as separated. So you're moving as a whole, and so it is what the Heart Sutra deconstructs all the separation that we do, starting within ourselves. But we still all have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Just that they're not separate from each other. Just as the cause, plan, and intention are not separate from each other. So you move as a whole, as a whole being. The sitting and non-doing, non-planning, non-intention gives you the route from which to move. That state of enlightenment, that state of equanimity, is your natural state from which to get up and move. Good. Time's up. All right. Hi, Marcelo. Long time no see. How are you? Any questions? Any comments? No? Okay. Anything, Kirk? Are you just being a dog? You snuck away. All right. Questions? Comments? There wasn't much more in Eikimoshi's commentary. He says pretty much the.
You make me think of chi.
Ah,
In my own body.
yeah.
And which I try and I don't see practice sometimes, but one of the first things that you learn when you try to do that is counterintuitively to sink down lower. When you lift your leg, it's most of us try to straighten up.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of learn to fight your intuition and sink down lower.
Yeah. Because you're lowering the center of balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially with Tai Chi, because Tai Chi moves very slowly. So you really become aware of balance points in Tai Chi because you are moving so slowly. And if you lose your balance, you're moving. It's jarring for you. So it really makes you focus on, and that's when you kind of realize you haven't followed the instructions if you're falling over. But when you really get that, when you really get to where it is, how it is those positions are shaped as a whole, because your whole body is involved in that one movement, and the balance of the rest of the body. When you get that, and you're moving with everybody else in the group, you've got this beautiful choreography, and it's also a deadly dance because it is a martial art that has just been slowed down. So it's an amazing process. I miss my Tai Chi days. So I've done that a lot. Now you made me want to go back and do it again, like I have time. But yeah, I really enjoy it. Yeah, that slow, constant awareness of balance, which is also a natural state that Tai Chi forces you into, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to hold that position. Same with yoga poses. You've got to be balanced.
You have to go back to a full-time job so you'll time for Tai Chi.
Well, I would, because with Lena Spraker, we would do these Tai Chi weekends. I did the Zen part and she did the Tai Chi. So I only got to do the first 25 moves because I was doing the Zen part the other time, but I missed doing at least that much of it. But I would take the whole 3 days off just to do. We did that 2 or 3 times a year. We used to back in the day. Yeah. Other questions, observations before we close?
Sorry, WaYu, I'm here.
Kirk.
I was indisposed, but I heard every word you said. So
It's okay. Did you have any questions or comments?
no.
Okay.
No, I'm
Great.
good.
Just checking. Oh yeah, Marcelo, now you have a question.
The sound quality is much better today than it has been. And
All good. We've been working hard to work on the sound quality. It has taken us 15 years. Okay, we haven't been on Zoom that long. So 4 years, 5 years to do that, to get it to be this good. So it keeps getting better. Okay. Well, looks like clouds coming. It's supposed to rain some more, or we're done with the rain this weekend? Okay. Well, this is Saturday, so tomorrow?
No, this week, Thursday.
Oh, this week. Okay, good. So it's not going to rain on my trip to Yokoji tomorrow, I hope.
No.
Okay, good. That's all I need is good weather for that drive. All right, let's close and we'll do announcements. And next week is